Hey guys, I just got a call from 5-Star Tuning this morning saying that they had a 2020 Explorer ST in the shop. Thought I'd come over and take a look at it. We did a review a couple months back on one of these, and I really like it. I think these are really nice vehicles, but I didn't have a rack to put it on to give you like a underbody view of it. So that's what we're going to do, take a little tour, show you what's going on underneath 2020 Ford Explorer ST. Start at the front, and not surprisingly, there's not a whole lot to see because there's a lot of aero put in here, smooth out the airflow going under, get better fuel mileage. It's kind of what you've come to expect on most of these newer Ford SUVs and cars and things like that. But going under, we can see that same aero package changes to felt here under the engine. So that cuts down on NVH quite a bit, as you would imagine. And we got our 10R80 transmission, and bolted to it is transmission cooler. It's kind of a neat setup. It's liquid cooled, water cooled off the engine coolant, keep the transmission temps in check. On the Super Duties, the transmission cooler is actually mounted between the transmission pan and the bell housing, but here it's a little bit more compact, and we're dealing with a 10R80 instead of a 10R140. It's mounted to the side of the transmission. This is, of course, all-wheel drive, so you have a front drive shaft running through here, right beside the transmission, and it is a 3-liter twin-turbo EcoBoost. You can see the downpipes coming here, catalytic converters. One thing I'm definitely not crazy about are these cats. As you can see, the exhaust comes straight down and runs into a wall, and then has to do a hard 90-degree turn to get out on both sides. That has to be costing horsepower. There's just no two ways about it. Probably a off-road downpipe is probably worth, God, I would almost say 20 horsepower, because that's ugly. I mean, that is really ugly the way that's set up. If these were just like the Super Duty trucks, canted back more off the headers and just a smoother turn, I wouldn't be that worried about it. But that's ugly. That's not what I would call the greatest engineering in the world. And then on top of it, on this one, if you can see up in here, this is actually wiring. You can see right here, mounted to the catalytic converter. Now, yes, it does have some heat shielding on it, but I've never seen wiring actually crimp to a catalytic converter to hold it in place. That's crazy. Hopefully that doesn't cause any issues down the road. Moving further back, we have transmission crossmember and our all-wheel drive transfer case. On the Crossmember, as you can see, it says 3-liter all-wheel drive. Did not realize that, I guess, that they're putting different transmission crossmembers, possibly just different bushings based on your options. I could see them making this a bit more firm on the ST. But yeah, it looks like they are crossmember specific to model and engine. Going back, you got a nice big flex joint in the exhaust. This one actually has a Borla aftermarket exhaust. Be covering that a little bit later on, next couple weeks or so. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and check that out when we post it. At the back of the transmission and transfer case, which looks like we have a electric motor shift transfer case if we need to. At least that's certainly what it looks like. Got a Guibo joint mounting the drive shaft to the output shaft on the transfer case. And then all of this runs up into some heat shielding to protect the drive shaft and componentry from the exhaust. And then you can see the drive shaft exits out here and goes to our rear differential. The guys at 5-Star have mentioned that they would like to have some solid diff mounts. Apparently this thing has some wheel hop. I think that might help it. So maybe Steeda or one of the other companies we deal with will make those in the future. You can see you got a nice drain plug and a fuel plug. It's going to be tough to get anything in to fill that, but if there's a will, there's a way. But it's nice that it's at least there without having to go nuts on taking this cover off to drain and fill your diff. Nice big aluminum lower control arm, and we have a few steel links here and there, and a steel upper link. Looks like that's actually cast iron. Let's contrast that with the front suspension, which is all nice cast aluminum pieces. I actually have a light here so we can get a better look. You got a very nice sway bar, large. It looks like it's a hollow sway bar. You can tell by the end here, it's just pinched together. So that started out as a hollow tube. But really it's the diameter that adds a lot of stiffness to the sway bar, so you don't always need solid ones. You can get by with a hollow one that is a larger diameter and still get less weight and get the performance you're looking for. But you've got very nice cast aluminum control arms on the front suspension. It's kind of tough to see the front diff, but it's buried up in there. You got the half shaft, of course, here going out into a cast iron knuckle. That's low-hanging fruit if they wanted to in the future. Just make this an aluminum knuckle, cut some weight off, and you got your massive brake calipers right there. These things are huge. Very nice to see that. Let's go back to the rear here and check out the rear suspension a little bit. So here's the funny thing. They use an aluminum knuckle on the rear instead of cast iron. So it's surprising they use iron on the front and aluminum on the rear. I would have suspected they would have put aluminum on both ends or iron on both ends, but I'm guessing Ford has a reasoning for that. You can see the parking brake mechanism built into the caliper, the rear caliper here. Again, we've got another sway bar, some springs mounted here in the pockets on the lower control arms. This link here actually reminds me quite a bit of S550 Mustang. Same thing with the mounts on the crossmember for the rear end. But other than that, it's pretty basic under here, what you sort of expect. Again, there's a lot of this acoustic material just to sound deaden everything. You got your fuel tank here. This acoustic material on this side with a ton of space for raccoons to have babies in, or your neighbor's cat to get lost in, things like that. You know, this is the stuff you want to watch out for. Then of course, got the exhaust in the back again. This is Borla. We're going to cover that a bit more in the future, so definitely keep an eye out for that. And that is pretty much the tour. Of course, you've got your spare tire mounted inside there. But that is it for the Explorer ST. It's a very nice design, but nothing I would call super remarkable or groundbreaking. Just a good, solid, basic family truckster SUV. I'm very happy to see Ford return to a rear-wheel drive bias on a mid-size SUV. I think gone are the days of solid axles front and rear, but at least we can get the drivetrain in the proper geometry for once. Instead of everything being front-wheel drive bias, it's way better to have this rear-wheel drive bias. It frees up a lot of towing capability and just makes these things a more rugged, robust, truck-like, but not truck riding-like SUV. Really glad to see them do that. But that's pretty much it for underneath the 2020 Ford Explorer ST.